He is the creator and sustainer of all the worlds, whether those worlds are known or unknown to mankind.
Fuzzie Chikun.
Bok mother cluckers, it is your favorite game-playing poultry Fuzzie Chikun. Welcome again to Fuzzie Chikun Plays With Himself. As usual, I am playing with myself today. And today I am going to be playing Scrap Mechanic. If you have not played this game or seen this game, it is a lot of fun. I have really been... what's my... There we go. So I played this for a few hours last night, and just to kind of get a sense of what was going on. That's why I've already got a little bit of a construction going on here. So this is my cab. The first thing that most people tend to try and build in Scrap Mechanic is a vehicle of some sort. It's one of the easier things to do like a car or a truck or something along those lines. So let's go ahead and flesh this back out. I had a couple of other projects going on that apparently didn't save. I'm not sure how often the game actually updates its save state, but I had a little zipline thing going here with rocket engines attached, and it did not work, but it was a lot of fun to play with. So what I'm going to do first off is kind of create a little bit of a base here. A foundation, if you will. The default, so if you look into the handbook, and we look at vehicles, so they're telling you you get a jack, you take one of your materials and you build a platform for it. On your platform you put a seat, specifically a driver's seat and an engine, and then you can raise your jack up and put the bearings on it, blah blah blah. So that's all well and good, and it works okay, but it's not the greatest design in the world, to be honest. It's okay. So here's kind of my preferred design. I want to make sure that I have enough room for my engine, so there's my engine. And really what we want to do is weigh this front down just a little bit. The engine on its own will do some of that for us, but we'll add a couple of other goodies along the way here. So kind of taking things off a little on the slow here, just to make certain that I've got... I think that looks good right there for what I'm going to do. So then we can go ahead and... Well, before we raise the jack up, let's do this. Do I want a grill on the front of my vehicle? So the problem is, I have my two seats side by side here, and the grill doesn't quite line up. So if I want to keep it somewhat, it's a one-off type thing, where it's just a little too big. What else do we got? What about a net fence? Same issue. Window? Oh, that's huge. No, let's not do that. Well, that's not that important. So let's go ahead and we're gonna build up some wheel chocks here, and let's actually do this a little bit away from the body. So what I'm trying to do realistically is build, well, realistically I'm trying to build a more realistic vehicle. The basic platform sort of works, but it doesn't really do that much for me personally. Just sort of eyeballing things here. And what we'll do is we'll build it up on one side, and then we will do the same to the other side. Nope. Got it. So we're going to be using, and I apologize for missing this, right click to take things away and left click to place them. One thing I do want to note here is that in my little wheel thing here, if I were to take away this block, the whole thing would fall because there's no longer a support for it. And when we talk about realism, of course, this is a video game still. The mechanics are not amazing as far as the physics engine goes. The mechanics are good. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. The mechanics are great. The physics, see, just like that, there's a block that just went down. The physics are a little, eh. I mean, I built a vehicle last night that was literally just doing barrel rolls. And it was a car. It was not supposed to do barrel rolls. It was not a aerial vehicle. It was a vehicle that if I just sat there and hit the right mount, or hit the arrow key to, you know, WASD. Anyway, and it would just sit there and roll over and roll over and roll over, and it was a smaller vehicle, but even in real life, obviously you can't just turn your steering wheel and have it flip continuously. So, actually, let's do this. So what I'm doing is I'm actually building in a triple shock system, just to help with the stability of the vehicle, and then I'm going to put metal down here. Oh, you know what? I didn't build this correctly. So our vehicle needs to be able to turn. So we need to take that out. This all needs to be redone. I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and pause here. I'm going to fix up our suspension a little bit and make that a moving part. And then when we come back, instead of sitting here and building it while I'm explaining it to you, I'll just show you what I did after it's done. Alright, and we're back. So I went ahead and built out this little beauty right here. And to just explain sort of what's going on is I'll go ahead and finish the other side over here by doing the exact same thing. So let's take off these extra blocks right here, and then we cut into the frame like so. Just 2 blocks, okay. Building with wood is really easy. So one thing I will start off by saying is that your building materials actually have weights to them. So wood is a lightweight block, metal is a heavyweight block, concrete is medium weight. We also have this barrier block that's light, we have a tile block that's medium, and a brick block that's medium. We've got I-beams, we've got all sorts of stuff here. Engines are heavyweight, thrusters are lightweight. Anyway, there's a lot of parts to play with, and we'll get into some of those in this video and also in future videos. Because I can tell you right now, after playing for just a little while, I definitely want to be making more videos of this. So what I've done here is I've gotten these 2 metal, just connectors really. They don't really have an equivalent on a real-world vehicle, because in real life we would be making a vehicle chassis out of aluminum or some other lighter weight material, steel, but steel with holes in it, you know, that's structured to be somewhat flexible and also maintain enough rigidity to hold the car body. You know what I'm saying. Looking over here at this, it looks like we've got a 3-piece that's suspended. So what I'm doing is, for our steering, we put a bearing in here. And that bearing is going to allow our vehicle to actually turn left and right when we hook it up to the driver's seat. And then I'm using metal to put in 3 pieces, and then I'm using the off-road suspension to put in 2 strut towers, shock towers, I guess, and then let's raise it a little higher. Let's put some metal down here, and then we go ahead and attach another bearing to the side, and then we attach our off-road wheel. So what I'm sort of doing here is a truck / Jeep. I'm really into off-roading as a hobby. I've owned several Jeeps in the past, a CJ7, a XJ, and a WJ. And they've all been a ton of fun, and I really love doing it. My dad's got a Jeep as well, so it's sort of a family thing for us. Let's stick some buggy lights on this. Is that the position I want? Yes, actually it is. So if this was a real CJ, you would have the grill here, but unfortunately the grill in the game is not scalable and doesn't really fit. So now we've got this going on, and this isn't quite functional yet. We need to take the driver's seat over here. So this little, what is this called? The multi-tool connection tool. That's an appropriate name. So we are going to connect the bearings to the driver's seat on this top. And that's going to allow us to turn it left and right. I don't think we can do it while it's still on the jack. And maybe we still can't do it without power. And my engine's still in here, so let's go ahead and hook that up. So we hook the engine up to the bearings that are on the sides of the wheels. And one thing you want to note is that this shows the direction the tire will rotate. So if we turn this engine on right now, well, for starters, it's not going to go much of anywhere because it doesn't have a back. If we just turned it on, this is going to get really bad. Oh, that's not awful. Maybe it's because it's dragging its rear end on the ground. It can't actually go anywhere. So if you don't hook it up to the driver's seat, you'll have a bad time, and it took me a few tries to figure out why my vehicles were running off without me. Let's go ahead and gas that up all the way. Let's hop inside, and now let's hit the gas. So I'm just pressing forward on the throttle, but what's happening is this wheel over here is rotating forwards, and this wheel over here is this wheel is rotating backwards. So we right click on that, that changes the direction of our rotation, and now it would actually drag us in the correct direction. Not very well, but it would do it. So we get the jack back out, put it back on the jack, put the jack back over here, and you can see that we have a very, very basic working frame. Let's go ahead and do something similar on the back side. And yes, you can build en masse. Sometimes I just forget, or sometimes I actually just like to take things a little slowly as I sort of look at things as I go. One thing that I did try last night, and it turned out okay, was this little concept. So having an engine in the back does add a little more power, but there's a way to sort of help circumvent a little bit of that. Because if you get too much power on your vehicle, it will do really, really weird things. It's not going to probably go as well as you would hope. So, just to give us a little bit more of a bed back here and a... Let's see. Yeah, we want to leave one space between, so I'm sort of lining up how I did this before. So we are in line with just on the other side of the roll cage. And again, I'm using metal here to help sort of weigh down this area directly by the wheels. I don't want to use metal for the entire thing because then it might get a little too heavy and the vehicle will not run as well. And that's probably not something, well, that's definitely not something that we want. It does not turn out well for anyone. I'm realizing now that I am one block above the other side. Oh, okay, I see what I did wrong here. So 2 mil up, and then instead of putting our wood on top, put that to the side. Whoop. Whoop. So we don't need a bearing here to turn, although maybe we do. Maybe we do. Let's say we do. Oop. Forgot a block. There is a Jeep vehicle. Oh, this is another thing too. You have to connect a block to your bearing. Otherwise, you can't. Essentially, you just can't connect the shocks or the struts directly to the bearing itself. There has to be something in between. But luckily, these blocks will rotate. As I was saying, there is a prototype Jeep vehicle called the Hurricane that was done around, I want to say 2002, 2001, 2002 maybe. And it was sort of it never actually hit the streets. Several models were made and they were tested in emergency situations. It's sort of Jeep's response to the Humvee. And it had a Hemi in the front and a Hemi in the back because at the time Jeep was owned by Chrysler, who also owned Dodge. And it was four-wheel drive, but it also had independent steering. So essentially what would happen is, well, exactly what we're going to attempt to do here. And it's going to get a little tricky, but whatever, we'll give it a shot. So we want to do this, we want to do that. And I thought building this here would be, it is sort of helpful for getting up to things that are up high, even when you can't go any lower. Okay, so yeah, we're connected to that engine. Now we need to connect to that bearing from the steering wheel. And we need to connect to this bearing from the steering wheel. You can probably see some other little numbers in here. And what these are switches. So if I move to another tool, you can see that there's switches here in the cab. And this one on the left runs the radio. So if I... Oh, you can't use the switches on the left. But anyway, what happens is those are actually using the connector. I connected those to the steering wheel. So if I get in my vehicle, you can see down at the bottom left-hand corner, I can't really circle it right now, but there are two switches in my menu bar where my tools would normally be. And those go to whatever you wire them up to. So at one point in time with this cab, I actually had independent electric engines, which was simultaneously a fantastic idea and a horrible idea. The horribleness of it, so this is like, I don't want to say Tesla because somebody's going to call me out and tell me that I'm wrong, but essentially the Model S, the way that I understood it was that each wheel has an independent engine running to it, and they all run off the same battery. Well, the electric engine in this game is actually way underrated in my opinion. I've watched other people's videos with this game before I bought it. I wanted to make sure that it was actually something that I would enjoy. This game is still in early access, whoops, which I am more than fine with. Some people have a real problem with early access games, but I've actually had decent luck. I've only gotten burned on about, I don't know, one title, $20. I probably still got my money's worth out of it, but it's been completely abandoned and will not ever resume development. I was watching some other videos and people always seem to go for the gas engines, but my opinion on the electric engine is it's great. The only issue for me was that it's extremely... Oh, you know what? What am I doing? I can't do this. I can't... If I connect these two, that bearing probably is not going to turn the wheel like I want it to. Derp moment brought to you by It's Early, and I really don't have an excuse. I just wasn't thinking. So I think we're all hooked up. We're all wired up. Oh, we do need to do this. So one thing that you can do to sort of mitigate problems, I'm going to put 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, we can go all the way up to 8. I'm going to put this engine at a 3. So that's roughly 30%. And I'm going to put this engine, not all the way up, but let's go with a 6. Or 60% of our power. So what that's going to do is this is going to be an all-wheel drive vehicle. Not just four-wheel drive, but all-wheel drive. And we are going to get most of our power to the front wheels. We've got additional weight on the front with this metal, with the engine. That's going to help keep these wheels on the ground for turning. That will give us traction. And that will help keep us from barreling off in one direction at a very, very high rate and having a bad time, essentially. I do have, let's see, there is still this metal down here. I originally built my frame out of metal. That was not a good time. It somewhat worked, but it was just way too heavy. Alright, let's test it out. Go, go, go. Can we use our radio now? We can. We have an issue. It's an easily fixable issue. I did not switch these bearings. For some reason, when you put these bearings on a vehicle and map them to your steering wheel, they want to go opposite of what they should the first time. Oh, look at that corner. Look at that corner. Just look at it. So, is our back? No. Our back looks like it's weighed down, but I think really what's going on is just that it's, for some reason, distributing power to the rear. Boom. As it's distributing the power to the rear, it's, for some reason, these springs are compressing, and these springs are uncompressing. And so you end up with sort of that slant look. I'm trying to think of if there's a way we can fix that. Let's try something. Let's drive back on over here to our little platform just because it makes it easier. And we can bump up our power. Oh, you know what? Just flip off that radio. We can bump up our power and make it go faster. I just sort of wanted to get a feel for where we were actually at, how we were going. So, one thing we can try here. Is put triple suspension back here. I played with dual versus triple suspension and even single suspension last night. And I didn't actually test this to see if there was a huge difference between a dual and a triple. It still looks like we're getting some very, very big compression down there. I do love the way this corners, though. That corners so nicely. Whee! There we go. Let's put you back up on a lift. I put this little marker here for where my lift would go. And it's way too close to my platform there. So here's what we can do. Can we do this without destroying everything? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can do it. So I'm going to build up a little bit of a wood frame here. Because remember, we need to keep everything connected. I'm going to remove my metal. Replace it with wood, and then remove the wood. Okay. For some reason that little, I don't know, there's shading, made it look like a block was missing. It was not. So that's some weight off the back here. If we raise this up, I should be, wow, what was that? I should be able to go ahead and remove. Oh, really? That's the one that was holding it on? Whatever, game. So I didn't want to remove all of the metal from back here. You know what? It's not a horrible idea. Because the engine looks like it might actually be enough. Let's throw our wood back on here. And again, this game is in early access, and so... Oh, you know, crap. No, I'm gonna leave that metal bar up there for right now. The game is in early access, and so I'm hoping that in the future there will be aluminum or something that we can build out of. That would help us be a little more lightweight and not look like we are trying to build the spruce goose over here. That's a historic reference, kids. Check it out if you're not sure what I'm talking about. There was a movie that had the spruce goose in it with Leonardo DiCaprio, if that gives you any hints. And back in the days, as in the 40s, it wasn't that uncommon to use wood as a building material in vehicles. But we've sort of moved beyond that now, and so it feels a little strange to still be using wood. Granted, my chassis is still I-beams. I guess I shouldn't complain too much, but let's give that a try. It still looks like we're really sagging low on that end. Oh, and that's interesting. I'm wondering, is my triple suspension even doing me any good? Or is it just weighing me down with more parts? I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break. We're almost out of time here, but let's take a quick break. I'm going to go ahead and test that theory, and we will be right back. Alright, and we are back. So I've done a bit of rearranging here, and my preliminary, just sort of looking at it, eyeballing it test says that it's actually going to go a bit better. What I did was I still like my 2-engine thing, even though it's not completely necessary. 1 engine is actually pretty good, but the engines do add a little bit of extra weight, and it's kind of fun to tinker with different power distributions. So this engine here by the driver's seat is linked up to the front, and then this engine on the passenger side we're going to also link to the driver's seat, and we are then going to connect him to the rear. So let's flip that. So that's going the right direction. That's going correct direction. That's going correct direction. That's going correct direction. Everything looks good. Let's pull our lift. So as you can see, let me run around here to make it so it's easier to see. We have a little bit of a front-leaning stance here, but what's going to happen is that when we accelerate on the gas, we need. Speaking of, so this one runs the front. Let's bump it to. Let's go ahead and leave it at 6, and then I'm going to bump the rear engine to a 4. 2, 3, 4. I apologize if my voice is a little weird today. It's been a little hoarse. Just kind of had a little bit of a sore throat. But anyway. Well, that seems to work pretty good. In fact, we're still compressing on that rear a little bit, but it's not, I don't think, because of weight necessarily. Because we took most of our weight off of there. Woo! Get some. So that works pretty well. I'm actually very, very happy with how that drives. But you know what? Really, we don't have a full test until we just say, forget it, we want some speed. Oh, whoa! Too much, too much, too much. We turn back over? No, we are too steady, too solid normally. So we're sort of dead in the water here. And that's another thing I've noticed is that some people want to build these vehicles and they think that cranking that engine up is going to make it really, really fast. And to be honest, it's really not. This is connected to the front. Let's leave it at a 7. It actually wasn't doing too bad on the front. But for some reason that rear, it just really gets, in my opinion, an unfair distribution of power. So That's why we were wheeling, despite the fact that the majority of our weight is up here, right? We've got 2 engines. We've got metal on our little strut tower here on both sides, and we do have some metal back here. In fact, this I-beam probably weighs quite a bit, but if you look at where that weight's distributed, this wheel should not... Essentially, we shouldn't be getting so much torque out of this wheel with it not being the primary engine that we actually do that. In fact, if we wanted to, well, we can't cut that engine at this point. There's no way to really do that. But you can make a 2-wheel drive vehicle that is just front-wheel drive. Oh, you know what else I just realized? I know I said the video was about to end, but I want to fix this really quick. I'm wondering if it's because the engines are not in an even power distribution. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because I have noticed, and as I started to say, if you turned one of these engines off, those wheels, because they have no power to them, instead of just flowing freely, they would actually drag. So the easiest way to do that in creative mode is just to delete the engine, since they're really, really easy to add back on wherever you want to. Let's try that. So we've got a 4 on both sets of tires. Still got some compression on that rear, but it's doing, I think, a little better. I don't feel like we're getting as much speed out of it, though. Let's bump you up to here. And let's bump you... Oh, I think the rear was actually a higher speed anyway. Oh, whatever. Let's go around this tree. Burn, burn. See how agile we are with our 4-wheel steering here? And really, going at this speed, we're not as likely to tip over. It could still definitely happen. Let's take this mountain. Oh no, lockers, save me! Oh, I've actually seen that in Moab. It's amazing. That was a sweet move. That was a little too steep. There's a hill in Moab called the Bump Dump. And when I say hill, it's being generous. It's about like this. But yeah, I've watched people break axles on it and do all kinds of crazy stuff. But I've also seen people pull off some very miraculous saves. Oh no! Did I... Oh. Put my left down, and my vehicle is the exact opposite of what I want. Driving in reverse is hard. No, 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 no. Alright, turn into it, turn into it, turn into it. Ah! I keep wanting to end the video, but at the same time, I just, for time's sake, because my file sizes get a little large, and you people probably get bored. But I'm having way too much fun. No, no, no! 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 I was really hoping that the 4-wheel steering would help me keep it on the road a little better. Apparently that is not the case. Can we do this hill? Let's do this hill. Burn, burn. Oh look, there's another road up here. Another little flat area. Thanks. Let's keep going. There's more mountain to climb. Is this the... Did we reach the top? This looks like the top to me. Let's drive over here. Mountains have an interesting phenomenon where every time you look up and you go, oh man, there's the top right there, I'm gonna reach it. And then you reach it, it's never the top. It's like they just keep growing. It's sort of true when you are out in your Jeep, and it's very, very true when you are hiking. Can you hear that? So nice and peaceful. Hey, there's another mountain over there. Alright, I think that's going to go ahead and do it for me today. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun just sort of playing around. Woo! I'm having a lot of fun, as you can tell, just sort of playing around with the mechanics and all of the different tools and toys. So if you liked what you saw, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you hit subscribe, because like I said, I'll be going back to my Sims 4 videos. I've got several videos that are just in the process of needing some editing, but they need a lot of editing, and so I've been procrastinating a little bit over the weekend. And I will definitely be returning to Scrap Mechanic. We have got so many other things that we have not even started to touch, including, well, the electric engine we can play with. There's the thrusters, buttons and sensors, and all kinds of fun things. Sport suspension. I tried building a vehicle with a sport suspension yesterday. Let me tell you how that went. Not well. And, of course, we could always build a little house or do something else in here kind of cool. All sorts of, got some pipes here. Other fun things. And I'm really, really hopeful in this game that eventually these are going to do something. Right? Because we've got wires. So there's probably going to be at some point a power source. Well, like a fuse box. And you'll need to power an engine or something. Oh, and there's the boot. The mannequin boot. I really want to build a vehicle that is powered by a mannequin boot. What? A baby duck statue? We might need it. He's not a chicken. Oh no. Where's my lift? He needs a friend. Alright. For realsies this time, y'all. I'm done. I'm Fuzzie Chikun, and bok bok, mother cluckers. Have a great day.
Bok, bok.